Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing tonight?
I'm excellent.
Great. Thank you all for joining us tonight. This is Trucker Talk Thursday, and I have a special guest tonight. Her name is Dawn, and she's going to discuss with us tonight the effects of how alcohol and alcohol abuse takes effect in the truck drivers community. Forgive me about my voice. I'm sorry, I'm a horse today. This is this month. My name is Marsha Withers with Extraordinary Logistics Solutions. We are a dispatching transportation service for all you truck drivers out there. Every month we give out awareness so that you are aware of what's going on in the community that involves you. We not only talk about the truckers, but also your health. We talk about family. We talk about health and diet. So, again, we are getting ready to discuss alcohol awareness. Please share with your friends, your family. And, sometimes we do discuss a lot about truck drivers, but this is not only geared towards the truck driver, this is also geared towards their loved one, their family members as well, so that you can understand the signs and see what's going on, and you can be an advocate for your family member, truck driver. All right. How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing
Can you hear me?
fantastic. You have an audience there. Do they
Awesome. We
answer
have a
to you?
little lag right now with the internet.
Okay.
All right. So, Janice, tell us about you.
Oh, wow. Where do I start? Well, my name is Janice Pons. I'm originally from Greensboro, North Carolina. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that's where I met you with your beautiful self. We fellowship at the same church, the Congregation of the Mighty
Yes.
Ecclesial Embassy. So we just immediately when I met you, there was a connection. We have kindred hearts. We have some of the same issues. That we believe in the same thing. We just want our country to be better. We want our citizens to be better, and we want to be there to serve our people. And so, professionally, I'm a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. I'm also a certified brain injury specialist. A lot of people don't even know that alcohol can actually cause a brain injury. It can injure the brain, and we'll get more into that in just a bit. Uh, so I just have a lot of experience. I've been in behavioral health for about 42 years. I worked as a teacher, school psychologist, program director, clinical director of substance abuse treatment programs, as a supervisor, coordinator. I've started programs. One thing I'm very proud to say is that one of the programs that I started that was a 30-day inpatient treatment program. 86% of the people were clean and sober and gainfully employed 6 months after completing the treatment program. And so there,
That's
people say,
awesome.
yeah, it is awesome. And people will ask me, how did you do that? Well, my response to that, Marcia, is that I was very intentional. I take addiction very, very seriously. I have three brothers who died from addiction. I have a father who died from addiction, and we didn't even know what was going on with us. The thing, well, he just couldn't handle his liquor. He just, it was like way more involved than that. And it was after I became licensed as a clinician. I had worked in the school system as a teacher and school psychologist and done a lot of different things in terms of mental health with children, adolescents, and adults. And then God opened up the door for me to actually be able to run and start programs and be in an administrative role. So my heart of hearts is always that of a clinician. And I just have learned by watching what my own family went through and by constructing and starting, developing, and running substance abuse treatment programs that were very successful, that there are strategies, skills, and tools for wellness and recovery for people to live a clean and sober lifestyle, to be free from alcohol. And it involves much more than just say no. That's a part of it. But a lot of times
Yeah.
people don't even realize that, oh, they're alcoholic. You have to locate where you are. You can't get to where you need to go unless you can honestly identify where you are. And I've worked with truckers, people in transportation, working with people who had to sign off on a plane at American Airlines that it was okay for the pilot to fly the plane, and he was drunk at 6. They were drunk at 6:30 in the morning. So I've seen it all
Oh my.
yeah, I've seen it all in terms of transportation, and I have such a heart for people that are dealing with addiction issues. I've done a lot of things in the 42 years, and I just am so grateful to be able to just say one or two things into the lives of people, that to show them, first of all, how to locate themselves, how to get from point A to point B, and to help them to know that they can live a powerful life of sobriety by learning strategy, skills, and tools. But sometimes they have to have some other steps that will unfold and occur before they get to the point where they can even absorb the strategies, the skills, and the tools. So, kind of that's me. What I've done, done a lot of different behavioral health things, family, the whole 9 yards, lost loved ones, lost friends, lost colleagues. So I have a lot of passion for this area.
This is so great because, in our previous awareness topics, we talk about how it is important to understand, uh, especially when it comes to stress. A lot of us
Mm-hmm.
out here trying to avoid accidents. And just recently, there's a lot of drivers that are committing suicide
Mm.
for, unknown reasons, which um, is devastating,
Mm-hmm.
because now you have other acting by one act that was committed. And it brings about a whole bigger issue. And I'm so glad that we are having this conversation, because when we get further in the year, I would like to have you come back, because your area of specialty can assist us in really identifying and pinpointing some of these solutions to
Mm-hmm.
these issues that we're experiencing as truck drivers. And even I shared on this broadcast before regarding my father and my passion for the health industry, because
Mm-hmm.
my father died at an early age due to an accident that he had with trucking. I didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
language then, like I
Yeah.
do now, to be able
Right.
to share with other people so they can identify and pinpoint and get them the help that they need. Because on average, it is 61 years average lifespan of a truck driver.
Wow.
And then off the road, there's some challenges that they're going to face. And so we're trying to prevent, they served our community so well,
Mm-hmm.
delivering freight all over the United States. And now, they have to spend the rest of their lives with health issues. And we're trying
Mm-hmm.
to avoid that and bring that awareness. So I thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
You do have some you would like to share with us, or a slide actually that you would like to share with us as well.
Yes, yes, it'll
Awesome.
be a part of. It helps people to see it, and there's something very powerful about people just seeing these stages of addiction. It really helps people to locate where they are, and there's some very specific strategies that truck drivers can avail themselves to. I know loneliness is one that they combat. There's so many dynamics in there. If they learn that they can plug into systems that are already in place, they'll realize, oh, wow, I never even looked at it that way. I never even thought about plugging into that. So it's a powerful thing. There you go. You've got that visual up. You want me to dive right in?
Okay. Yes.
Awesome.
Due
Well, let's.
to the timing that we have. Yes.
Yes, we've got a limited amount of time, and we can get a lot done here. I always say we can't get to where we need to go unless we can honestly identify where we are. And when it comes to alcoholism, let's just deal with alcohol. And you have to understand scientifically, medically, alcohol is a drug. It is a drug. It's something that your body becomes physiologically dependent to. Alcohol is a drug,
Hmm.
but there's stages of addiction, and a lot, and I'm not here to argue with people about if alcohol is a disease or not, but it has a disease process, Marsha, in that there are certain signs and symptoms. It has a certain pathway that it's going to take, just like other diseases have signs and symptoms, a pathway. It has a particular outcome if you don't get an intervention. And so there are particular markers that medically we look at to determine if a person is dealing with a particular disease. So there's a process that people find themselves dealing with with alcohol and alcoholism that's very predictable. It's very predictable. And so we're going to look at this pathway that people deal with. One of the things that I always look at when I'm dealing with someone, and they're like, well, they say I got a drinking problem, and, the family say, oh, he's alcoholic, and they can't see it. Someone may be in denial, just a number of reasons and excuses that people use and verbalizations. But there are three things that I look at right away. And if you look at that visual there's that bell-shaped curve, and everyone is dealing with drinking. They fall in that bell-shaped curve. They do. So if you're facing that curve to the very left of it, you see frequency, intensity, and duration.
Yes.
Those are three things that I can pretty much in 15 to 20 seconds, because I've done this so long, determine where someone is. Bottom line, frequency, how often are you drinking? Am I talking to a 60-year-old man that's been drinking every day for 40 years and he's getting help for the first time? Or am I talking to an 18-year-old who's been drinking for 3 months and he does a weekend bender? He's on the weekend. So that's frequency. Then there's intensity. Am I talking to somebody that's drinking a 12 pack every other weekend, or am I talking to somebody that's drinking 90 beers a day? Yeah, I said 90, 90. And I've met three people in my career that were drinking 90 beers a day. So that intensity. Or am I talking to somebody that's 65 or 70 that's been drinking a half a gallon of Jack Daniels every day, along with a 24 pack? Okay,
Oh my.
so that gives you an idea of the range of the intensity. Then there's duration. How long has it been going on? 40 years, 50 years, 3 months, 6 months? How long? Frequency, intensity, duration. And when we're talking about addiction issues, you just got to get honest. If it's like, I really need to take a look at this. So frequency, intensity, duration is the first thing I want to know. And when we look at this bell-shaped curve, there's stages of addiction. Early, you start on the left, early, middle, or late. And it also equates with that same language: recreational use, substance abuse, and substance dependence. Early stage equates with recreational use. Middle stage of alcoholism connects with substance abuse, and late stage is substance dependence. Now, what goes on? I have been in family therapy sessions, Marsha, and the person that's in treatment and a medically supervised detox, they can't stop drinking unless they get some kind of medical assistance, or they're going to go into seizures and die, because a lot of people have to drink to feel normal. They're just shaking, they're tremulous. So when they drink, it calms it down. So those type of people, based on that, they might need a medically supervised detox. So I may ask them, I explain these stages of addiction. I look at the person in treatment. So I'll say, what stage do you think you're in? And they'll say, well, I'm in early stage. And the wife said, are you kidding me? You're in late stage. You're throwing up every morning. I have to call and lie for you because you can't come to work on Monday mornings because you've been really hitting it hard on the weekend. You have to drink more to get the desired results. You're totally out of control. And I've had some very powerful interactions with families because the person is dealing with the issue. They don't even honestly know what they are, but by the time I get done with them, they will.
Yeah.
So in that early stage, basically it's recreational. That's the person that goes out to happy hour. We're just celebrating. We worked hard. Let's go get a couple of cold ones. Let's get a couple of beers together. We're just having a good time. We're just unwinding, because alcohol does make you more uninhibited. It relaxes you. Yes, it does. It gives you a buzz, and you're socializing. You're just having a good time. I mean, it's like, yeah, man. And then, it's like you're just having a good old time. So that's early stage or recreational use. Now, this is very key, what I'm getting ready to say. This is what a lot of people don't know, is that your body begins to develop a physiological magnetism towards that substance. You like the way that substance makes you feel. Now, some people, beer can make you promiscuous, make you warm. Okay, hard liquor. My experiences, I've seen hard liquor, the people, they're ready to fight. They'll cuss you out in a minute. And beer can make you silly. So different alcohols have a different effect on different people. It has to do with your chemistry. So beer, alcohol, and wine all have a different effect. When I used to drink, each one of those had a different effect on me. And so I guard my heart now with all diligence, for out of it flow the issues of life. That is a spiritual truth. But you got to know how that stuff is affecting you. So in the early stage, you start having this physiological magnetism towards that substance because you like the way it makes you feel, so you want more. Now physiologically your body will want more, so you'll find yourself, okay, you used to drink 2 beers. I said, honey, I'll buy the next round so you can drink 3, you can drink 6. All of a sudden you're drinking more. What is that all about? You know what it's all about? Your body starts developing a tolerance. In other
Yes.
words, you have to have more to get the desired results. And this is very sneaky because you got that early stage going on, recreational use, you're having a good time. We're not hurting anybody. We're just hanging out. We went out to happy hour. We deserve this. I worked hard. I drove the truck hard. It's time for me to unwind. I'm going to the hotel. I'm going to get me a 6-pack. I'm going to get me a 12-pack. Well, how does it get to the point that we're drinking a 24-pack? That doesn't happen
Right.
overnight. Okay, so you will segue into that middle stage of addiction, which is also substance abuse. You're abusing it. How do you're abusing it? Because here are the factors that determine it. And you see there in the middle at the top, you have addictive thinking, which equals addictive behavior, which equals insanity. Now, we know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But let's back up. Addictive thinking is, well, man, shoot, I can't, yeah, that stop up there. I'm going to stop and get me a 24-pack. It'll be nice and cold. As a matter of fact, I got an ice chest in the back in the cabin there, and I'm going to put it on ice. That's addictive thinking. You're planning it. You're executing it. A lot of people don't think that way, but when you're dealing with that physiological dependence to this mind-altering substance called alcohol, you're thinking it, you're executing, you're planning it, and the addictive behavior is you're gonna go get it. You're gonna set up everything. You might get you a little young chick in that, or a strong young buck in that hotel with you. You're planning
Mm-hmm.
it because that's addictive thinking. It's extrapolated out into your behavior, and it'll have you doing the same thing over and over and over again. And in your heart of hearts, you'll tell yourself you're expecting different results. That's insanity. Now, what happens then? The bottom line in that middle stage, Marsha, that middle stage of addiction, substance abuse, you're starting to have problems. You're
Yeah.
starting to have problems because you're driving under the influence, knowing you don't need that 18-wheeler. You don't need to be driving a car under it's called a DUI. Do you know how much money DUI is? It's over $10,000. Just the
Yes.
legal requirements involved in getting out of that mess. And then sometimes you might end up doing mandated treatment. It can get expensive. But that middle stage, you're having problems. Relationships are affected. Your job is affected. I knew a guy, I was his therapist. I mean, oh boy, he couldn't drive the truck anymore because he was drunk. But he knew his schedule, and he would convince himself that he could get it. He could hit it real hard. He could hit it real hard and sober enough to be able to drive that truck. I said, sir, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And we just laid out why it wouldn't work. The physiological, the lab work, his liver enzymes were damaged. We just lined up a whole picture, and he had to make a choice on what he wanted. Now, that middle stage, you're starting to have problems, and it'll segue you right into late stage or substance dependence. How do you know you're there? Well, tolerance. You got to have more to get the desired results. Withdrawal. When you start, you said, oh, I'm going to cut back. I can do it. You get shaky. You get tremulous. You have to use to feel normal. Loss of control is self-explanatory. Blackouts is when you're saying things and doing things you don't even remember. You don't remember driving the truck. You don't remember who you hit. You don't remember having someone in the
Yeah.
hotel room. It becomes very dangerous. DTs,
Yes.
DTs is delirium tremens, which means that you're psychotic. You're hearing things and seeing things that other people don't hear or see. And then there's body rot. Body rot is where there's a physiological breakdown in your body, your heart, your pancreas, your kidneys, your brain, from a result as a result of being toxic and poisoned by alcohol in your system. Now, all of this is going to lead to, all the way over there on the right, right above or late stage addiction and substance dependence. It's going to lead to jails, institutions, and death.
Mm-hmm.
Jail, you're gonna do something. You're gonna fight. You're gonna get a DUI. You're gonna do something where you're gonna have some legal ramifications. Institutions, you're gonna be in and out trying to get yourself together, or it's gonna kill you. Jails, institutions, and
Yeah.
death, or, and this is what we're proponents of, Marsha, rehab, recovery, and wellness. Now, everybody's recovery is gonna look different. But the bottom line, and look at the bottom of this visual, everything related to addiction and alcoholism is going to lead to life or death,
Yes.
sobriety or addiction. And you will all, this is the battlefield of the mind. You will always, and you'll get to points of your maturity, of your developmental recovery, where you will always try to justify, there's justification, manipulation, and rationalization why it's okay for you to go back. Why it's
Mm-hmm.
okay for you to go back. So, in essence, what we want to encourage our truckers, we celebrate you. We care about you. We love you. Why would Marsha even be doing this? Why would I even be on here? Because I have seen people that were so degraded and so torn down, and they became clean and sober. They live clean and sober lifestyles, but there's a certain way that you execute it. So you have to, first of all, locate where you are. If you're dealing with a drinking issue, are you in early stage, middle stage, or late stage addiction? Is it too late? No, it's not too late. It's not too late to turn this thing around, but you can get to a point in late stage addiction where your organs can totally go into organ
Yes.
failure. And I've seen
Yeah.
that. I've seen that in my family. And we didn't know, my brothers went from cirrhosis of the liver to cancer of the liver. That kills you. They became emaciated. They became torn down. I made sure they were born again, but it killed them, and it was all related to alcohol. Alcohol. And so when we can help people, truckers, whomever, loved ones, whomever, identify where they are, we can help them to execute how to get where they need to go if they want to do recovery. Let me say this about suicide, and we'll get back to it. People that I was talking to someone that I know very well. He said, when I drink, it takes me to a dark place and I become suicidal. He said, every time.
Mm.
And so he said, okay, wait a minute. What is it that I want? He said, it always takes his mind to a dark place and he wants to commit suicide. And so we just began to rally around him. Why do you want to live? I mean, and he
Yeah.
had all kind of reasons that he wanted to live. Because I'm gonna say this, and we could do a whole show about suicide. Let me say this: suicide is not a wish to die. That's right, I said it. It's not a wish to die. It's a quick way. It's a quick way to end the suffering, and there are a lot of ways to address suffering. Let me say this: I know we're gonna run out of time, but I want to get this plug in here. All over this nation, in every community, there are recovery support groups. If you're traveling, you're going to have to stop and sleep. You can incorporate within your wellness and your recovery program to find out, and there are resources that can tell you where these meetings are, to go to an AA meeting, go to an
Mm-hmm.
Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, or a Celebrate Recovery meeting. In the areas where you stop and get your sleep, if you plug in that, you know what, just for my own wellness and my recovery and my health and my wholeness, I'm going to go to a recovery support group. And they are waiting on you. And I can't begin. I went to an Al Anon meeting after years after my family members had died. And I had a therapist to tell me, I was like, you need to go to Al Anon. I said, I don't need to go, no. Al, what are you talking about? They dead. He said, you're still living the effects of losing your family members. Marsha, when I walked in that Al-Anon meeting, Al-Anon is for the loved ones. And truckers, your family members, while you're going on the road working, and you're going to a CR, Celebrate Recovery, or AA meeting, or NA meeting, your family can be going to Al-Anon, and everybody will be in recovery support. When I walked in that Al-Anon meeting, I was blown away and how
Mm.
powerful that meeting was and how it absolutely changed my life. I went every week for about 6 months, and it changed who I was. It empowered me to have strategy, skills, and tools for wellness and recovery. So that visual that we just looked at, it helps people to go, oh, wait a minute, look at this again, and go, wow, I'm in late stage. And you know what? Your insurance with who you work for, they want you to be whole. They want you to be well. A lot of people will talk themselves out of getting help, but get off the road for a minute to get that help that you need. You might need to go through a medically supervised detox, and we can help you with different levels of care. There's just so many people are trained to help assess you and to determine what's available, what you need, because it's a matter of life and death, and there is life. I've seen it over and over and over again, and truckers just have to navigate it a real specific kind of way, and it's done. It can be done. I've helped people to do it. It is so powerful, and they go, "Oh my God, I never even thought I could do this." Yep, you can, and your family can be working on their part as well.
Yeah, one of the great things about technology, even now, we have Zoom meetings, we have Facebook Live groups. So you're never alone. You always have an outlet. It's just a matter of taking that initiative to connect, to plug in, to ensure
Right.
that you get what you need to survive. You know, um, when I was looking in the Bible, studying the Bible, I used to read Proverbs all the time. And I used to challenge people to read Proverbs with me. And so a lot of people never knew that alcohol abuse was in Proverbs in the Bible, and the effects of
Mm-hmm.
how it takes place with
Mm-hmm.
just the how it looks in a glass. And then as you drink it, the more you drink, and then later on you feel like you're getting beat up,
Yep.
and then you have this hangover and you want another drink to overcome the effects of the first drink, the first, abuse.
Yep.
And the different stages, and even having an eye opener. And one of the things I was thinking about as an employer, you know, how do we really identify our drivers when we may be suspect, but we're not sure? We can always do a random, to get that answer, right?
Right.
But we don't, even with that, we don't know the depths of it. We
Right.
just know
This
that a random and you came back, and so you can't drive today,
Right.
right?
And that's a moment of truth. And they make good income. So you want to point, what we want to do is encourage people to be pointed towards the direction of intervention. The podcast I do, From Destruction to Dignity, is to bring awareness, to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention. I'm always dealing with addiction. And when they become aware, it's like, oh, and so it's like that's an issue, and they get their thoughts provoked and they become aware, and then if we point them towards intervention, like on my website, there's a resource on janicepons.com. There's a resource page where you can go on there and click here, click there, and it'll point you towards how to go to a medically supervised detox, how to get a therapist, how to get a support group. And like you said, online, they got support groups online. When COVID went on, AA meetings continued. It went online. A lot of these support groups, they're now back meeting in person. And there are just
Hmm.
so many resources. You do not have to suffer. And it's just so powerful what can happen. When you're driving that truck and you're getting in your 8 hours or how many ever hours that you're needing to drive for your work day, there's so many interventions that you can listen to that's going to build you up. And you're not, and it's like, wow, why hadn't I been doing that before? There's some very, very,
Yes.
very powerful things you can do. Like listening
Yes.
to the Dunamite drills.
Yes. So, Janice, I thank you so much for joining us today. We will definitely have you back on our show. We are looking to have an officer as well as a operator join
Hmm.
us next week. Hopefully, he's able to join us next week so that we can really discuss on the other end of abuse, the law side of abuse.
Yep.
And the reason why I chose this particular gentleman is one that I do services for.
Mm-hmm.
and he's also a owner operator. He has two trucks of his own, and he's a sheriff. So we want to make sure that we are covering all of our bases, and we're just
Mm-hmm.
not giving you an officer who has no idea of what it is to be a truck driver behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
when he experiences on a day-to-day basis. And we're going to, like I said, hopefully get him on next Thursday so he can talk about the legal effects, the amount of money it's going to cost you, and realizing that in some states, the DUI will never come off your license.
Right, right.
And
And
so
Marsha,
in those areas, you are stuck and you may not be able to do things that you love to do by driving. Even when I look at MVRs, I am so skeptical of hiring somebody with a DUI. It could have been 15 years ago. It could have been, 5 years ago. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you just haven't got caught yet. That's what I'm thinking.
right?
And maybe I shouldn't think that way. But when it comes to insurance, of course, our insurance because of the DUIs. Some
Mm-hmm.
companies can handle the expense. Some companies cannot.
Mm-hmm.
And so we be aware of that. And that when you take on drinking, when you open up the bottle, you can't have the open bottle in your truck, in your cab,
Mm-hmm.
because that's automatically going to underneath the radar and even fined. You may do jail time. You may lose your CDL privileges because you may
Mm-hmm.
not be drinking and you can pass a license, but guess what? The seal is broke on the bottle that you have in your cab. So we still have to be careful and mindful of the things that we do. If you open the bottle, do not bring it back in your truck. You just have to toss it at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding your hours, the waiting times that you have to wait
Mm-hmm.
before you start operating that vehicle. You have 4 hours. Take the necessary precautions. It's not just your
Mm-hmm.
life that you are putting at risk, but it's everybody that is around you. Even when you
Mm-hmm.
go to a dock and you backing your truck in, if you don't have the visual to back your truck, your trailer in, then guess what? You're going to have an accident that's going to affect somebody else's truck or the
Mm-hmm.
dock. The fence that, that on the property line, it is so interesting. I've been in this industry for so long and worked for various companies. And I used to work for Serta Mattress Company. And it's just amazing some of the small things that people do. This is even with the warehouse workers, because when warehouse workers are drinking and they're driving forklifts and they're entering into a truck or a trailer, damaging the trailer because they're not focused on what it is that they need to do,
So you
or
have to
they're running
remember,
into some things.
yeah, you have to remember addicts and alcoholics, you're addicted to alcohol when this is going on. They don't think like they're supposed to. The judgment and reasoning is off. This is why
Yeah.
engaging in a therapeutic process, education, I mean, like those things you were naming, they're just like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know it did that to the pancreas. I didn't know it did that to the heart. I didn't know that they don't know these things. So it's like a call, weigh in. It's like, okay, so what is it that you want? Well, and so you have to process those things. So while on the road, you can even engage in teletherapy.
Yeah.
Teletherapy, you can get a therapist. You look at them right there on your phone. People do it all the time and really are successful in executing a powerful recovery program. And you got insurance, it's a benefit. Go ahead and take advantage of it because we want our truckers and families and everybody to be whole, to be recovered, to be successful, to be empowered.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Janice. How can people reach out to you that's going to watch this broadcast later?
Well, you can go to my website, www.janicepons.com, and go to the resource page, and it will guide you through. You'll just see the narrative that I've got there. I've done a lot of research and I have 42 years of experience. And I'm not going to be a therapist. All I'm doing is provoking thought, provoking thought, bringing awareness, and pointing people towards intervention. If I had $5 for everybody that said, "Can you be my therapist?" No, I'm just stirring up the thought process so you can pursue that. And but I've done all the research for you that you just go in there and click, click, click. Just go look around and go, wow, wow, I didn't know that. And so it's there for you. So you can access resources and help. And it's kind of already been mapped out for you how you can get to some things with support groups and so forth. So we want to empower people for wellness, recovery, wholeness. God has a good plan for you. And being a trucker is a very unique lifestyle. I recognize that. I honor that. We celebrate you. It's a very unique lifestyle. Truckers are backbone of our society. You keep things. You get
Hmm.
us food. You get us everything. And
Yes.
you're not celebrated enough. But we want to celebrate you by pointing you towards some things that you may need that can be very helpful to you and your family.
Yes.
So
Well, they,
www.janiceponds.com, JANICEPONDS.com, and there's some stuff there that might help you.
all right. Thank you, Janice, for joining us. We are Extraordinary Logistics Solutions. We do have a solutions for your transportation needs and solutions for you. We're all about bringing you resources, information, knowledge, wisdom, so you can get the understanding to be successful and to accomplish everything that you have or been ordained to accomplish. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next Thursday. If you know anyone that's experiencing any of these issues, they may know, they may not know, but it doesn't hurt to share the information and pass it along. So we thank you so much, and you have a good night.
Good
Thank
night,
you
Marsha.
all.
Thanks for all that you do. God bless you. Thank you, truckers.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.